And it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship today. I'd like to agree with much of what the honourable members for Scarborough and Whitby and Gainsborough have said. No one wants to see peat burning, but that's not what's actually on the table here. This is about heather being managed as part of a perfectly reasonable package of measures that are taken in our uplands, including in my constituency of North West Durham. And that package includes cutting, it includes huge amounts of re-wetting of areas as well. And I'd like to really pick up on a point that the member for Sheffield Hallam said, when she said we need to really manage effectively the countryside. And I agree, but heather burning is an effective part of managing that. I totally understand the concerns from honourable members for York and for Sheffield Hallam regarding flooding, and I hope that they, like me, will welcome the government's recent commitment to huge amounts of tree planting in our upland areas as part of the 10-point plan from the government. But I don't think that this is part of the issue. Looking at controlled heather burning from October to April is not the issue at stake. Heather moorland is absolutely vital for my local rural communities in Weardale, in neighbouring Teesdale and in Northumberland as well. It's really vital to the local community, to my hospitality industry, to my rural pubs, to my rural jobs, including my gamekeepers, and also for a huge amount of part-time employment for large numbers of local people too. But what are the real issues at stake? Because when I took the Secretary of State up to my moorland up above Rookup earlier this year, we saw what had happened in the 20th century, when there was huge amounts of grips put into the ground to dry large areas of peatland and seen mass-scale erosion there. And that was an attempt to overmanage the countryside from one side, which totally drained large areas of peat, causing huge amounts of erosion, and would lead exactly to the issues being faced. Now, I'm all in favour of large parts of these areas having those grips removed to allow blanket bog to return, but that's got to be part of a managed countryside where people can, where everybody's able to work, and where also the peat's able to return to areas which have been drained. But that's part of the bigger picture. What I really want to also talk about is the biodiversity elements, as mentioned by some of my honourable friends. We've seen from the report from some of the Scottish Government about how how managed burning can actually really help the relationship between key species and see some return to our upland areas, which I think is a really important point. This isn't about the UK government or the Scottish government, and it shouldn't be about party politics. But I do believe that, unfortunately, that's where some of this debate is going. I really fear for yet another cheap politicisation of our countryside by those more interested in ideological and identity politics rather than in protecting our communities, or indeed in the issues that they talk about regarding flooding and other things like that. Thank you.